They were very good in the first. That's something that I expected. They came out, they played hard, they played fast, and they were, at that moment, they were playing at a different level than us. And the shorthanded goal in the second period was I thought, the difference maker in the game. I think it gave hope to our guys. You know, it was 3-1 at the time. We score, make it 3-2, and you could feel it on the bench. And I thought from that moment on, I thought we played a very strong game.
Coach Dan Kovacevic, Pittsburgh Tribune Review. Have you done anything in particular or specific to take Crosby and or Malkin out of the game in either game?
No, we haven't. I mean, obviously we've talked about them as players, that they're talented players, and you got to be aware when they're on the ice. But we haven't had a game plan in place that we got to do this to him or we got to do this to him. We got to play hockey, do the things that we need to do to try to contain them. You aren't going to shut those two guys down. You aren't. They're too good. They're too talented. They have compliments on their wings that make them better players too. And I'm talking about their wings that they play with. And we just know when we get out on the ice against them, you just got to be aware of it.
Todd, to your right, can you talk about the first win? Give us your thoughts on this for a franchise. It only happens once to every franchise.
It's hard for me to comment on how I feel as a franchise first win. I look at this as it's a win for our team. I don't, I've been here this is my third season, and I know the struggles that we went through to get to this point, but I don't know the history of the team. And for me, it's always about moving forward. What's going to happen next? What's next on our agenda? What's going to happen tomorrow? So for me, obviously, it's a great win for our hockey team, and for a lot of people back in Columbus. Our fans in particular, and people that have been devoted to this organization, it's big for them. But for me as a coach, it's hard for me to make a comment that this is big, because for me all it is one win, and you got to win 4. And that's, again, that was my message to the team. Enjoy it, but you got to win 4.
Did I ask Dan about this? Want to get your thoughts on it too. After the shorthanded goal, you guys did a really nice job for the last 7.5, 8 minutes of pinning them deep in their own end. You barely let them cross center ice for a long stretch of time. What particularly were you doing well to keep them so deep in their defensive end during that stretch towards the end of the second period?
We did a good job. Versus this team, you got to make them play a 200-foot game. If it's anything shorter than that, it plays into their strength. I think we did a good job getting it in, and we had some speed on the forecheck. We were able to get on them probably more quickly than they wanted to. And then when you do that, you're forcing them to make quicker plays and hopefully creating the turnovers. And then once we got the turnovers, we were able to play with it and sustain. It's a lot different than game 1, where we didn't have those offensive zone shifts where you're able to sustain some pressure and puck possession. And again, the 200-foot game and forcing these guys to have to play in their own zone, that's where they have to spend some energy, and it takes away from their offensive side of the game, their rush attack and getting into the offensive zone. And it did turn into that half ice game. Chip it out, hopefully we'll go back in and do it again. They're a talented team, dangerous team. And, those are some of the things that we have to continue to do in this series.
Curious as to whether there was even a fleeting thought of taking Bob out after 1?
No, there was no thought at all about that. None at all.
Todd, 2 shorthanded goals in 2 games. When they have 4 forwards on their power play, and they've given you a lot of different looks. When they go with the 4-forward look, does that change your approach at all and make you look for shorthanded goals a little more?
No, it doesn't. Again, they're a dangerous team, and Niskanen has proven a pretty worthy guy on the power play for them. So whether they go with their first group with 4 guys and 1 defense, we don't change our the things that we want to do on our penalty kill. There was a couple tweaks that we made after the first period that I think helped us through the second, third, and the overtime periods. I mean, just some little things. But we've done a good job all year. Our forwards, we've actually created a lot of 2-on-1s this year, a lot of opportunities off the rush. We've done a good job putting pressure on teams, and tonight we were able to convert on a 2-on-1.
Todd, Tootin took a big hit first shift of the game, big one the last shift of the first period. Didn't play after that. Can you update us on his status?
Yeah, you know what? I'm not going to get into injuries at this moment in the playoffs. I know we've talked about it before, but it's just something as an organization that we just aren't going to get into.
Was anything said to Sergei after the first period? So he looked a bit flustered early on, but then played very solid for the rest of the game. Did you say anything to him personally?
You know what? I try not to talk to the goaltenders. That's one position I try to stay away from. I didn't think he was flustered. I didn't think he looked flustered. There was traffic. They did a very good job. They were playing on a different level than we were in the first. I think some of it was feeding off of the crowd. They did a very good job through the neutral zone, creating some speed and putting pressure on us. And I didn't look as Bob as flustered. They did a very good job.
Coach, you got away from the Dubinsky-Crosby matchup as the game went on, and I'm just wondering, he responded with some more offensive chances. Was that the intent?
No, it wasn't the intent. When it was 3-1, I wasn't going to chase the matchup anymore. And I think power play and penalty kill also had something to do with that. Whether Brandon was in the box or whether I was using him on the penalty kill or power play. So the matchup, I wasn't just based on energy coming to the bench. And I think once we got going, I think I saw the success of other guys against Crosby, that it wasn't something that I needed to chase.
Todd, you guys haven't been in this situation before, certainly not in an overtime game. What was the mood like after the first overtime? What kind of stuff were you doing in the room to keep guys loose and hydrated?
Well, it was the players. I went in and like I normally do at the normal times. And again, where our room is located as coaches, I can't hear what's being said in there. But I went in and I sensed there was a calmness to the group, a focus to the group. And sometimes you can get a feel as a coach when you're addressing your team in between periods. And up to that point, I think there was a confidence in the group too, because of how the second, third periods went and led into the second overtime.